Welcome, everyone. Hi, my name is Jason Oliver Chang. I'm Associate Professor of History and Asian American Studies at the University of Connecticut. I direct the Asian and Asian American Studies Institute, and it's been my honor and distinct pleasure to have brought on the Afro Yaqui Music Collective as the 2020-2021 Artist in Residence. Welcome, everyone. Hi, my name is Jason Oliver Chang. Sorry? I'm Associate Professor of History and Asian and Asian American Studies at the University of Connecticut. I direct the Asian and Asian American Studies Institute, and it's been my honor and distinct pleasure to have. Wow, sorry about that. That was really embarrassing. But it really interrupted me from the important work of getting to the album launch here. So before we do that, I want to begin by acknowledging that we here in Connecticut live on the indigenous territories of the Mohegan, the Mashantucket Pequot, the Eastern Pequot, Schaghticoke, Golden Hill Pagusset, Wangkung, and Nipmuc peoples. European settlers occupied this land by force and enriched themselves through the dispossession of indigenous peoples through land expropriation and genocide, as well as the enslavement of enslaved American Indians and Africans. It is also significant to recognize that through settlement, colonials cleared forests to build ocean crossing ships. These vessels fueled the cycle of conquest and imperialism that shaped not only the African slave trade, but also the US relationship with the Pacific Islands and Asia, one that is still maintained today. It is upon this acknowledgement of land and historical relations that we seek a more socially just future for all. So we are here to celebrate, contemplate, and get down, all the way down. The Afro Yaqui Music Collective is a jazz fusion big band that creates musical environments and political connections from the point of view of decolonized and matri-centric revolutionary traditions. I first got to work with Afro Yaqui Music Collective in the uprising for Black Lives last year. We put on the Black Art Heals event, and since then we've also collaborated on building a comic, a graphic, a novel about a coolie mutiny in the Pacific. We've also collaborated to build a frontline report that looked at the indigenous struggles of water protectors in Mexico and mountain protectors in Hawaii. The residency was also key in demonstrating to students how to turn learning into aesthetic choices. Right? This is so clearly demonstrated in their work, in the music they make, in the videos they make. This is such a fantastic, example of the kind of interdisciplinary, radical abolitionist work that we prize at the Institute. And it's been my just distinct pleasure to be able to work with the collective and to see all of the ways that the work bears on our present, but also importantly, charting a path for the future, radical imaginations and alternative, speculative, radical possibilities. So tonight we're joined by Giselle Seneth Rodriguez, who's a vocalist, urban farmer, and an indigenous solidarity activist. Charlotte Hill O'Neill, also known as Mama C, writer, poet, artist, musician, and director of the African American United African Alliance Community Center based in Tanzania, where she is zooming from right now. Benjamin Barson is composer, saxophonist, historian, and activist at University, and author of Sounding Race and Rap Songs. Again, I can't thank you all enough for this chance to work with you and to really celebrate Maroon Futures, which is a fabulous album that will continue to inform another generation and chart more radical possibilities.
Oof. Thank you so much, Jason, and the Institute for your words. I think we also want to acknowledge.
Yes, we are in Osei land and it's a beautiful day. Thank you all so much for coming and for showing up and for always supporting our work, Jason. We are really honored to be here with you presenting our work. And my name is Giselle Sana Rodriguez, and I am from Mexico. I'm from Mexicali, Baja California, and I'm part of the Afro Yaqui Music Collective.
And I'm Ben, saxophone player. We're here from Pittsburgh, unceded Osage land, as Giselle mentioned. Also familiar history of conquest and genocide, and we're hoping that this music can be a force for reversing that history of settler colonialism and white supremacist capitalist patriarchy. One step at a time. 500 years got us into this mess. It's going to take us probably that much time to fully transition out, but hopefully this album is a humble offering to that process. And we've also got Nejma Nefertiti here. Nejma, are you in the room?
Yes, peace, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I'm over here in Brooklyn, New York. You know what I mean? Land of the Lenape and other things too. And yeah, I'm just honored to be here and represent Maroon Futures and be a collaborator of the Afro Yaqui Music Collective and to share some of my work with y'all today. So peace.
Thank you, Nejma. That's interesting because there's another person here currently in New York right now joining us. In limbo in a hotel room, I believe. He's a world-renowned presenter and thinker. Is Lauren here?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Lauren Kajikawa here. Just a pleasure to be here with you all. You'll hear more from me later, but just as someone who has a deep love for just all of the beautiful freedom jazz of the 1960s and 1970s, but also somebody who was raised on hip hop and you guys are just in the pocket for me. Just this is where it's at. So it's just a pleasure and honor to be here to celebrate the work that you're doing today. Yeah.
Thank you, Lauren. We also have Mama C directly from Tanzania. How you doing, Mama C?
I'm doing great, and I feel so blessed to be in this room with y'all and to contribute what I could to the album Maroon Futures. And I just love y'all's music. Even though I'm on the album, I'm a fan. I really, really am. And bless y'all for having the insight and the ability to bring the kind of music that you do to the world. You know, y'all some blessed folks, and I'm just happy to walk some of this path with you all. And I'm here in Tanzania, Embasani Village, in the foothills of Mount Meru, and it's 1:15 in the morning here. The chickens haven't gotten up yet, but I'm flying high, just being here and sharing the vibe. Bless y'all.
Well, you're not just sharing the vibe; you're really building it and channeling it. We're riding that vibe. So thank you so much. Thanks for your commitment to being present under any temporal and geographical circumstances. That is something I really admire about you, and I think about all the time, and the energy I bring to different spaces. So really, thank you so much.
Um,
Actually, I was kind of thinking it would be cool to listen to the song "Mama C" that you really contributed to and added so much to on the album before we got started with the kind of dialogue about it. This song is called "Sister Soul," and it's dedicated to a matri-centric and matriarchal future, as well as the history of Maroon communities, which we'll be talking about today as we talk about the influences of the album. This song features a really amazing pipa player. A pipa is a lute of that's featured prominently in Chinese music, especially Chinese opera. And this pipa player's name is Yang Jin. She plays with Yo-Yo Ma and all kinds of other world-class musicians in the Silk Road Ensemble on occasion. And we're really lucky to have her in Pittsburgh, and her contributions to this album in general are part of our vision of radical Afro-Asian indigenous solidarity and futures. So we're going to play this song, Sister Soul, which will feature Yang Jin, and then you'll hear the words of Mama C, and then I don't even know what happens after that. Some portal gets opened, and we'll see how it resolves. So I'm going to be sharing my screen and audio for this, and we tested it, so it should be cool, but just letting you know that's about to happen.
And I see visions of the mothers, sister souls, the matriarchs, marching in exactitude, Pamoja, Ubuntu steps, Ubuntu steps.
Sister soul, you're calling Mother Earth's watching us. Will we be born again?
Lightning bolts emanating from fingertips, steel hard nipples sharp on matriarch stretched and sagging breasts that still pump out the power that flows between rebirth and destruction. Matriarchs, the ones who carry the very pot of life in their womb. Which will it be? Which do you choose? Rebirth or destruction? The matriarchs choose life.
Sister soul, you're calling Mother Earth's watching us. Will we be born again?
Sister souls, my sister souls, we head for the hills, the mountains, the swamps, the forests. We chasing dreams of Maroon women buried deep within us.
Sister soul, you're calling Mother Earth's watching us. Will we be born again?
the very bowels of the planet. Lunar blood unites we, sister soul. Lunar blood unites we. Remember that, y'all.
Sister soul, how you loving life. May the sun rays of your sacred spirit carry you on in the fight. May the winds cover you in revolution. I feel your plight. The journey, learning, giving, taking, earth in the moonlight. Beautiful creation, exceptionally shining bright. Keep swimming in your stream of blessings, keep it flowing, force of light. Soul magnificence, better know that's right. A dance along the route of struggle, never thinking twice, never censor your advice. Fuck being quiet and polite, sister soul unite. Take flight, adjust your crown with delight. Wear it with might. Pass me the pipe, the tobacco is right. Sister soul, you earn stripes. Rise into new heights in harmony. Admiring your armory, you're stronger than Azar would be. Don't need to hide the scars I see. Necessary to the life of everything you are to me. Defying everything society said that you ought to be. Residing at the top of generations on your daughter's tree. Poise to the left, close to the heart, just where you ought to be. Never forget the way sister soul fought for me. Food for thought brought to me. Rhythm in my arteries. Sister respect, barbery. Straight to the target, archery. Artfully building versus carpentry. Artistry, Mother Earth part of me. Sister soul, star seed. Sister, Mother Earth please. Sister, don't die in need. Sister soul, stand up. Sister soul, stand up. Sister, Mother Earth please. Sister, don't die in your knees. Sister soul, stand up.
Stand up.
Sister soul, star seed.
We head for the hills, the mountains, the swamps, the forests. Lunar blood unites me. Sister soul, stand up. Stand up. Stand up, y'all.
Wow. Oh my
Hyundai
God.
Tucson versus Honda CR-V.
Wow, you guys are so amazing. Like you touch my soul in so many like different ways, and your words are so powerful, both of you, Mama C and Neshma, you know. And when I reflect on your words, and indigenous people, they say that this struggle is for life, is to preserve life on earth, you know. And at some point we had to make a choice. Where are we standing? On what side do we want to stand? You know. And corporations are taking over, and every single space in the planet it's in danger right now. So we have to be strong. And indigenous people, yeah, they say that this struggle, also Neshma, you're so powerful as well, and uh you I feel like you're so fiery that you have this power within you that you make us wanna like really stand strong, like, and stronger every single time. And your delivery is just like so good. And yeah, that also like makes me reflect upon how we connected. You and Mama C, we were together in the first eco-socialist international in Venezuela. And that was a great experience for me, just to see like how are people building on that part of the world, how are they organizing, and it's so beautiful, as the way they are uh, you know bringing solutions to the problems that we're facing right now. And to learn about trueque and how to abolish money, and with trueque, with bartering, this system that we already know, that our ancestors knew, and to reclaim that, and to see it happening in Venezuela, that was something really powerful as well. Yeah, I want to thank you for participating in and making this music, this album, so special, and your messages, both of you. You are both so uplifting and inspiring to me and to many other people, I am sure. So thank you for making the effort, to be in it and be here with all of us sharing this music. Do you want to say something, Ben?
Yeah, no, sure. Just yeah. So I'm going to give a little context about the album, but I just noticed, like, Lauren, you turned your mic off, or did anyone else want to say anything? No pressure if not. You know what I mean? Or you turned your mic on. Yeah, go for it. It's like an open
I'd like
space.
to say something. I'm telling you, that experience in Venezuela and meeting you all and feeling from the first hour that I met you all that we were family. We carry a very similar spirit, and I carry so many of powerful matriarchs in my lineage. And I just feel so blessed that they're able to come out of my thoughts and into my voice, and that I'm able to inspire people, all over the world. And I know that that's because I'm walking in my purpose, and that's a real blessing. And I use that word blessing a whole lot, but that's because I am an embodiment of my ancestors' dreams and blessings. So I give thanks for that, y'all. I give thanks for y'all welcoming me into the collective. And I hope that I always walk with the purpose that honors you all's trust and in me as an artist. And this intergenerational vibe that we have, that erases not only borders of age, but borders of culture, So I give thanks for y'all. Big ups.
Thank you, Mama C. We give thanks to you.
I just want to say one quick thing, which is that one thing that has always kind of led my politics as a white man who is attempting to be an ally or trying to position themselves as an ally is the words of Stokely Carmichael, who gave a speech about colorful whites. And he said, the key criteria for colorful whites is that, they're willing to take leadership from oppressed nationalities, because that was the framework for people of color back in the day, thinking of, a Black nation and an Asian American nation and a Chicano nation that were colonized by the United States. So willing to take leadership from oppressed nationalities and doing a good enough job that you're hated by other whites, and I'm not sure I've gotten to that point yet where I've earned the ire of Donald Trump or that guy who's so annoying on Twitter. I mean, there's so many of these people, or even just more casual liberal white racism that expresses itself sort of subconsciously. But I guess what I'm just trying to say is that I would update Stokely Carmichael's formulation to say also take leadership from women and matriarchs, right? And not sit on the sidelines, but really try to actively engage and do productive work within that vision, within that revolutionary framework, because it is, it's like we have to do work too. It's not like we should just stay sort of passive and watch other social forces unfold and sort of hope that everything's going to work out. We don't have time for that. Even if that was the correct ethical position, which I don't think it is, the planet is reaching a critical tipping point. And as we've seen with COVID-19, this world is not, it's already got the apartheid lifeboat up. When disaster hits, the quote unquote developing world, the colonized world, is going to pay the climate bill that the United States and Europe has imposed on this world system, on this planet. And so I just want to say it's an honor to be working with you and rolling with you and building this boat to a new future with you. And that's really the thing that keeps me alive right now. Specifically you and, Mama C and Nejma and Giselle Zanath, but also all the other badass artists on this album. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. If does anyone, I'm going to share some videos and pictures, but I wanted to give an opportunity for anyone else to speak right now if you had something you wanted to share before I do that.
I'll just quickly say, thank you so much for everything you all just expressed right now. Because, we have such a respect level for each other and what we all do. And that's what makes it so beautiful when we come together and that we share the same values and consciousness, and that we actually want to work towards that in our practice, in the way we interact with each other, in whatever we do and bring to the world. So I just want to say, the feeling is mutual, and I'm so blessed. And I also, am so uplifted by you all, seriously, and the music is so healing, and I do miss, being on the stage with y'all. It's such a magical experience, something I'll never forget, you know what I mean? But this also, we pivoted and we're doing what we got to do, and this also has its own beautiful, magical experience to it. So thank you so much. I really love what y'all expressed.
Thank you, Nejma.
Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for your words of wisdom and your charitable, your charity of consciousness and soul and spirit. So, for those of you who are just getting here, we are kind of honoring / celebrating the release of our album, Maroon Futures, which I have a little album right here. This is what the CD looks like. We have 6 tracks on it, which span a variety of traditions and continents and centuries of struggle and revolution, and we're going to be getting into those, what they're all about. And but I just wanted to kind of say, an album is a difficult thing to conceptualize because first of all, we live in an increasingly visual culture. More and more we hear with our eyes, and maybe we don't really hear, right? But in the sense of not just music videos, but the marketing and branding that goes around music. So making a kind of big deal about an album might seem like an odd sort of thing to do. And we are going to be sharing some music videos with you. So we acknowledge that there's an art form in the visual. It's not just like something negative, but it is sort of a strange transition, and there's something sacred and revolutionary about deep listening and hearing too, that I think we should always struggle to keep in our consciousness and our phenomenology, our experience of being. Just to I don't know, maybe toot the horn a little bit about the album, just because I think it's important to say why are we celebrating this? obviously something being popular doesn't mean that it's good. But it's cool that this album has been charting kind of well for 2 months. It was at the top of the Roots Music Report's top world music album. Again, kind of a weird label for the music, but for whatever reason they considered it world. And so it was for 2 months in the #1 slot. This is from different like college and community radio stations. They sort of aggregate the listens. Another chart kind of like this one is the North American College and Community chart. There it was kind of closer. I think it topped out at 7. I forget when this was from May 18th. So but yeah, did kind of made a little splash here in this kind of experimental music world with funk and global grooves. And one of the big, people that we were inspired to honor in this album is a political prisoner named Russell Maroon Shoatz. Russell Shoatz is he was a former Black Panther Party member and also Black Liberation Army member, which was a sort of splinter group that came out of some of the Panther activism in Philadelphia in the 1970s. He and several other people were arrested for firing a gunshot that fatally that wounded and ended up killing a park guard. The issue is that 5 or 6 people were accused of shooting the same bullet who weren't in the same time and place. Like many Black Power and Black Liberation activists from the 60s and 70s, including Mama C's partner and husband, Pete O'Neill. Russell Maroon Shoatz was persecuted and pursued by COINTELPRO forces and the FBI. He was eventually caught and sent to prison, where he spent 23 consecutive years in solitary confinement. Although interestingly enough, he didn't go to solitary confinement until he was elected into a position of leadership within the union that represents prisoners with life sentences in Pennsylvania. So it wasn't until he achieved a level of political influence within the prison amongst both Black and white and other prisoners of color that he was sent to solitary confinement for 23 years, where he continued to write letters, write books, write essays, theorize about the contradictions of capitalism, of theorize and think about struggles for movements of oppressed peoples. He also wrote critically about the machismo in the Black Panther Party, a very powerful essay called Hating Your Mother, about anti-woman violence within the Panthers that he felt like he contributed to, and how the new generation of male revolutionaries need to step up and challenge that. A very influential mentor for a lot of people behind bars and outside of bars. As you can see, this picture here is of him, and he's currently has stage 4 cancer, and he's being denied treatment by the Department of Corrections. This is someone that should have been released, decades ago. There should be a Supreme Court case about why it's not okay to put someone in solitary confinement for 23 consecutive years. And he should have been released also because of the COVID-19 epidemic, which Governor Wolf actually created. The Pennsylvania governor created a stipulation that allowed at-risk prisoners to be released. And he was not released under that because obviously he's considered by the forces that be too much of a threat for his defiant and empowering voice. So this album is dedicated to Russell Maroon Shoatz, and it's also dedicated to the historical the historical movement of Maroons. And actually, I feel like there's no one, Mama C just sang and rapped eloquently about Maroons in the song we just listened to, Sister Soul. But I feel like it would be it would also be powerful to hear Maroon's own words about this subject. So I'm going to share a video with you that is from the point of view of Maroon, talking about why he's called Maroon, why he calls himself Maroon, and why he thinks Maroons are important models for social transformation today.
I'm writing these words from a prison. Don't get bent out of shape about that, because I'm actually freer than many of you. Many have asked why I call myself Maroon. In 1977, I escaped from the state prison in Huntington, Pennsylvania. I lived off the land for 27 days while trying to evade scores of state police, prison personnel, FBI agents, and local police and volunteers. I had cause to reflect on and gain courage from all the freedom fighters I had read about, and this did much to guide and reinforce my determination to succeed. However, I was recaptured, and on my return to prison, a friend mentioned that he had kept up with the search through the press. After a while, he said, "They were chasing you like a Maroon." As I gradually began to learn about the Maroons, I became inspired by these audacious fighters, and the nickname Maroon became a badge of pride and a constant source of spiritual inspiration. Rest easy, fighting Maroons. There are many now and to come who will derive inspiration from your valorous examples. Inspiration that will arm their spirits to fight the good fight till victory or death.
And so that, first of all, that's Adam Cooper Tehran edited that, and a Philadelphia-based abolitionist and prison justice activist named Kempis Songster, also known as Ghani, narrated the voice. He was someone that was mentored by Maroon when he served time. He's now on the outside, and we're working with him in the campaign to free Maroon. And so part of the album proceeds go to Philadelphia-based Black activists who are working around not just Maroon's case, but also the causes that Maroon cares about. Food sovereignty, building gardens, creating food in food deserts, freeing the land, and freeing ourselves by freeing the land. The example of Maroonage, as Maroon writes in his book, Maroon the Implacable, is important because it wasn't groups of revolutionaries trying to take over the state. It was people actually leaving the capitalist plantation system entirely and building their own societies, often based off of democratic and matri-centric principles. So that was something that and also in alliance oftentimes with indigenous communities to those lands, and sometimes with rebellious whites. And so that was that's why we feel like the example of Maroonage is so powerful for a 21st century politics and practice that we're trying to build today. I am that's going, and I just want to mention that the Cash App that you see at the bottom of the screen, all of the money that we raised through this album and the money that you donate today is going to both those Philadelphia-based activists and revolutionaries, as well as a program for Yaqui self-sufficiency and autonomy. The Yaqui are indigenous peoples to Sonora, Mexico, who have been fighting for their water rights for centuries. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit later with Giselle Zanoth. I want to go back to the music and also stop talking because I'm starting to feel the weight of my voice. So we are going to listen to one more track from this album. This song is called "We Refuse to Be Used and Abused." It's written by Fred Ho, who is a mentor to me and an important activist Asian American jazz musician from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. And this song is dedicated to the workers of the world. And I hope you enjoy this video. I'm going to share it now.
like we ain't got nothing to lose. For the struggle of workers paying dues, bringing unity, sparking the fuse. Walk without shoes, bare feet to Mother Earth. Break the power of a wage, Maroon exchange. Arrange that scorn to something strange. The world is so much better when we change. So much better when we create, build motion and range. So much better when we share respect for the oceans and plains. Honor each other, break the chains. Honor yourselves, feed your brains. Drive the train, leave nobody behind. Get there by any means, shine like the matter we are made of. Shine as you are, nothing to be afraid of. Destroy the blockades, never sway, get your weight up. Get your love on, not your hate up, enhance the flavor. Dance, let the music save ya. Dance, become greater. Dance, fierce, fly without wings, no capitals. Balance these flammables, radical, intangible, understandable, expandable, out the box, diagonal. Dance, let the music save ya. Dance, become greater. Dance, fierce, fly without wings, no capitals. Balance these flammables, radical, intangible, understandable, expandable, out the box, diagonal. We refuse to be used and abused. We choose to stand up like we ain't got nothing to lose. For the struggle of workers paying dues, bringing unity, sparking the fuse. Organize and align. We choose to stand up and remind that we refuse to be left behind. We refuse to be used and confined. We refuse to be used and abused. For the struggle of workers paying dues, bringing unity, sparking the fuse. Walk without shoes, bare feet to Mother Earth. Dance, let the music save ya. Dance, become greater. Dance, fierce, fly without wings, no capitals. Balance these flammables, radical, intangible, understandable, expandable, out the box, diagonal. We refuse to be used and abused.
Well, with that, we're gonna hand it over. With that, we're gonna pass it over to Mama C, who's gonna do some live performance for us and share some words too. So take it away, Mama C, whenever you want.
I just love that piece. I love the visuals of it. And that had to be an Adam, right?
Thanks.
Huh?
Thanks
Yeah.
to
I
Adam.
love that,
Yes.
that whole style is so, the visuals are so unique, and the music is just, it's just fantastic, you know. And I must say that you know, I feel very much like I carry the blood of Maroon women. When I consider that when Brother Pete and I left the States in the trunk of a car, and with the help of so many people around the world on this modern day Underground Railroad, and then we went up into the hills of Mount Meru in Tanzania and carved out what we have carved out here, you know, and that is because of not only the Black Panther blood that I carry, but that ancient Maroon blood that I am so privileged to carry. So that word is something that is very close in my heart, you know, and to be privileged to be surrounded by all these matriarchal spirits, you know, and growing up under the tutelage of so many powerful matriarchs in my family, and knowing that, you know, my ancestors still embrace me. And I like to share this piece. I wasn't sure what I was going to share really, but I have a new poetry book coming out soon that's going to be published in South Africa. And when I come to the States, I'll have it with me. And it's called Homage or Homage. Music, an ever-present silver-covered thread embroidered through the tapestry that makes up the woman in me. Memories of my mama taking us to church, pot-bellied stoves, cold winter mornings, country churches with upright pianos slightly out of tune, but still sounding good. Choir members swaying to the beat in their satin tasseled robes. Dignified old Black women on the motherboard, their dignity and grace wrapped round those starched white uniforms, lace handkerchiefs, hand-knitted shawls, fans waving back and forth, and they rocked and they moaned. They rocked and they moaned. Yeah. Swing to the beat of fast-moving fans and skirt hymns forgotten, y'all, as we pay homage in our own way. Blood of ancient ancestors creeping through frantically open windows, riding on waves of tambourine sound and freshly risen rays of sun. Moans and cries of ecstasy, freeing hungry spirits, unleashing unknown tongues. So all of that makes up the woman that is in me, that Maroon blood, that African spirituality, that Black Panther, And people forget sometimes that being a Panther meant that we are part of the international family. It's such a blessing being a musician and feeling very much a part of the global community. I don't know how much time I got.
You got a lot of time. You literally have as much time as you want. Yeah.
Okay, well, this, for y'all who don't know, is a nyatiti. It's an 8-string lyre, and it originates in Kenya among the Luo community. And I'm also almost at the point of completion of a new film. This lady been busy, y'all. And it is called Nyatiti Medicine. And it speaks on the power of music to heal. There is the lead woman in this film is Nia, and she has been afflicted with obstetric fistula, terrible ailment, and which caused her to be ostracized outside her community for many years. And I made this film, I wrote the script for it 5 years ago when I went to visit with Lisa Russell, actually, and some other musicians. We went to this hospital where women who were afflicted with this were able to get free surgery in order to heal themselves. One woman was there who spoke about her being ostracized from her community for 30 years. If y'all can believe that, 30 years where she had to live by herself, constantly leaking urine, and that's why they were ostracized, because, and this is true, y'all. So I'll bring that film with me too when I come to the States. But we're the knowers. We're the dreamers, and we're the soars, indigo children, y'all. The teachers and the preachers. And we are the chosen. We're the artists, and we're the seekers, and we walk the way of the new world. That's what we building, y'all. A new world with Maroon blood off in there. Maroon futures, yeah, we living it right now. We walk, hey, we walk, y'all, the way of the new world. We walk, we walk, y'all, the way of the new world, 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 the way of the new world. The way of the new world. I give thanks, y'all.
Thank you, Mama C.
You feel like that was a beautiful contribution. If you want to do one more, you're welcome. You're invited to share.
Okay, let me do one more.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, I had it right on the page. Because I wrote this one. I was in China for 2 months. The first African to be selected for the Shanghai Writers Association. And when I would walk down the street, people would stare at me, and first it would make me feel kind of funny, but later on I said, I feel like I'm representing, and I was, and I loved it. I love walking through the streets of Shanghai and letting people feast on the vision of this African woman with long flowing robes on and walking proudly through those streets, and to feel the power of hip hop around me. Also in Shanghai, I was walking down the street one day and this young fellow was walking toward me and he said, ni hao, yo, and I loved it. I love the way he put that yo on there. And I'm one of them international Africans who you might have caught glimpses of on the news. We're the ones who are comfortable speaking in any language, in any culture, because our spirit got flow like the blues. Yeah. We speak French with a Senegalese accent. We speak Kiswahili with a Midwestern drawl. I'm liable to greet you with a ni hao, my friend, or bid you adieu with a two-town honor, y'all. The outside of me reflects that inside DNA that twists and turns in creatively unique ways, like head beads from Cape Town, elekes from New Africa. I sport paper beads from Uganda, labret pierced in Nairobi, Kenya. I'm comfortable picking up tofu with my chopsticks or eating ugali with my fingers. I dig strong hip-hop vibes in any language, and I appreciate beauty in all colors and genders. I am compelled to honor my gungun in all the ways that I've learned. I cut off my locks in sacrifice to my Orisha, marking bridges that I've burned. Scarification, cheek marks from Unkono, chin tattoo from Kansas City. I walked in the streets of Shanghai, China, heavily cloaked in Black pride and African dignity. I dig my long earrings from Joburg and my gown and shawl, a gift from Ghana. I dress all of my fingers and some of my toes with power rocks and brass and copper armor. Rap stones from Minneapolis, Chicago, Baltimore, and DC. Sunshine colored congas from Tanzania and ankle bracelets from traditional Maasai. The essence and bliss of my inside is reflected on my outside. It's true. I am a citizen of the planet. Your Mother Earth is my mother too. And I walk the way of the new world, embracing the good of the old world too. I give thanks, y'all. Love y'all. Blessings.
Mwah.
Damn. I love that international universal spirit, you know, thank you for putting that out there while keeping the Maroon, Pan-African focus in play. It's just amazing. You're amazing. Thank you so much.
We look forward to seeing you in the fall, Mama C.
Oh, yes, I'm going to be there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for those of you watching from Pittsburgh, or Mama C is going to be coming to the U.S. in October of this year, so we're definitely going to have a show here featuring her and her new book, Homage.
Yes, right? Yes.
Oh, yeah, that'll be beautiful.
I give thanks. It's the 55th anniversary of the founding of the Black Panther Party, so I'll be going out to Oakland too. 55 years. Wow. Yeah, that's a blessing.
Congratulations, Mama.
And me and him say this is our 52nd year together.
Wow. And y'all met in the movement.
Yes, that's right. I'm writing about that in my memoirs titled Hard Head.
Hard Head. Oh, wow. Is that about you or is that about Pete? Which one is who's the hard head?
Me.
Okay. Cool. All right, thank you, Mama C.
Okay, thank y'all. Love y'all.
Love you too.
Okay.
Before we continue, I just wanted to say the video we saw earlier of We Refuse to Be Used and Abused, it featured two incredible dancers that I should have spotlighted immediately after we saw it. So I apologize for that. Peggy Choi, based in Madison, Wisconsin, and Liqueur Spirit Yancey, also based in Madison, Wisconsin. We had the distinct pleasure and honor of working with Peggy Choi, who hosted us as resident artists at the University of Wisconsin, Madison, through the Division of the Arts, which has a interdisciplinary artist in residence program. So if any of you are here watching from Madison, thank you for being here. Madison is a city of struggle and a super strong revolutionary spirit, including several hours north of Madison, the Ojibwe struggle, which culminated in many historic standoffs, such as at Bad River against mining companies fighting for an eco-centric future. So there's just a lot of really important work there. Rebecca Kemble is an amazing activist who just, fighting the militarization of the surrounding area. There's just a lot of really important social movement forces out there, and we were honored to get to know y'all and be a part of that space. So thank you so much for, and really actually that experience is what led us to collaborate right now on this album, because we built a musical with Mama C and Nejma and Peggy and Lakor and our students there. And one of our students, Kimberly Inthavong, actually designed this cover, and not just the cover, but the album artwork, which was really cool because we couldn't take a photo of the band because it was COVID-19. So instead she illustrated everyone and just did a really insanely just beautiful job designing this. Just the aesthetic of this is its own work of art. So Kimberly, thank you. And thank you everyone in Madison for your powerful revolutionary energy. We're going to invite up to the stage now Lauren Kajikawa, who is a associate professor at George Washington University. His work is, I'm a recently minted PhD at the University of Pittsburgh in jazz studies, and I had the chance to read a lot of Lauren's work. Two of his essays in particular, The Sound of Struggle, Black Revolutionary Nationalism and Asian American Jazz, I thought was an incredibly powerful piece, not only about the Black arts movement and John Coltrane's work as being read as and heard as a new consciousness, a new Black consciousness, but specifically how that impacted a generation of Asian American activists and musicians, which I just a really brilliant essay and really in tune with the movement. And also another work of his, D'Angelo's Voodoo Technology, African Cultural Memory and the Ritual of Popular Music Consumption is also, yes, and you've got the D'Angelo shirt on right now, Lauren, which is awesome. So it's just really a rare scholar who is on the side of the people. Sorry to bash you music scholars, I love you, but Lauren's a real gem, and we're honored to have him here today. And Lauren, you're spotlighted now, but actually we're going to be hearing from pre-recorded comments you made, right?
Yeah, I'm in New York City. I wasn't sure how good the internet connection would be, so I pre-recorded my comments, but I'll be here to join the conversation and later on. So I'm gonna mute myself and turn off my camera and hide because I hate hearing my own voice, but I'll be back.
Okay.
Yes, it's intense. Thank you for this. So Adam, if you could share that video, that would be excellent. And we'll see you soon.
Good afternoon, good evening,
Adam,
good morning,
do you want me to
wherever
share it?
you are. Yeah, my name is Lauren Kajikawa, and it's definitely a pleasure to be here with you today. I want to thank Ben
Adam, we
Barson
can't hear anything
and the Afro Yaqui Collective for the invitation
or
to
see
speak
anything.
at this celebration. And also definitely shout out to the Asian and Asian American Studies Institute at the University of Connecticut for helping put this together. I'm really honored to share my reactions to this beautiful work. It's really a humbling task to be here and asked to gather my thoughts about something that is such an expansive, powerful album, and includes a roster of such incredibly talented musicians. I'm gonna share my screen here, and I've got just a few visuals to assist in my presentation today. To my ears, really, the Afro Yaqui Music Collective and this album, Maroon Futures, is really in the tradition of so many great and important musicians who have big ears. And I think about musicians that come to mind. They're really tapping into the spirit of jazz artists, including John Coltrane, Yusef Lateef, of course, McCoy Tyner, Alice Coltrane, and others who in the 1960s and 1970s were really looking to third world cultures for musical and spiritual inspiration. Basically they were looking east while many musicians in the East were looking back, at them. And really you can hear and see in a lot of the visuals a kind of, beginnings of a kind of musical solidarity across different, across nation, across culture. And I think that's a big part of what we hear in Afro Yaqui's music. They're also, of course, I think in a lineage of musicians such as Max Roach and Abby Lincoln, not to mention Archie Shepp, Charles Mingus, Nina Simone, and many others who really insisted in the same period in the ways that their creative work could explicitly respond to its immediate social and political context. So musicians who are outspoken about the politics of their time, musicians who organized to create alternative structures for their music to be recorded and disseminated, and basically who are attempting to create pockets of freedom and free expression. And I think, even more specifically, and I think this is why it's really appropriate that the Asian and Asian American Studies Institute is sponsoring, this event, is I really hear Maroon Futures echoing a certain kind of musical hybridity, a growing together of cultural practices that's born out of living, loving, struggling together, that I associate with the spirit of the Asian American jazz and creative music movement of the 1980s, who were inspired by actually all of the musicians that I've just named from the 1960s and 1970s. These musicians include, among others, John Jang, Francis Wong, Fred Ho and the Afro-Asian Music Ensemble, Glenn Horiuchi and his ensemble, and also, last but not least, Mark Izu and Anthony Brown, who you see pictured here with Louis Jordan and George Sams in the group United Front. A number of musicians, who are part of this movement, who came together to support one another, primarily in the beginning of the 1980s, to record and release their music under this rubric of Asian American jazz. And these are musicians who were facing a music industry that really had no place for them, right? There was no place for Asian Americans really in popular culture, and certainly not music, and no place either for the kind of radical political commitments to justice that they were concerned with, both for their community and also in solidarity with Latino and African American communities. They collaborated with their African American peers, especially musicians from the AACM, the Association for the Advancement of Creative Music, who really provided an inspiration and model for the work that they were doing. So thinking of Muhal Richard Abrams, and Roscoe Mitchell and other members of the AACM, and they collaborated it in a way that really provided a model, I think, for what cross-racial solidarity could both look and sound like. And I think especially inspiring to me when I've written and studied and talked to these musicians was the way in which they really transformed their relative invisibility, right? There's no existing models for what an Asian American, improvising musician should look and sound like. But they translated that, or they transformed that invisibility into a strategic advantage, right? If there's nothing, no pre-existing expectations for what you should really be doing, well, that allows you a certain kind of freedom to maneuver outside the box. And they really developed a new kind of hybrid sound that spoke to their dreams of freedom. And I think that is something that idea of like, what does freedom sound like, is something that I hear groups like Afro Yaqui Music Collective searching for, and what I think Maroon Futures is about in a lot of ways. And of course, the connection is direct, right? We're talking about, a group that includes Ben Barson, who's baritone sax, and big band arrangements really do echo his mentor, Fred Ho, and both in sound and in political commitment, and in trying to create a kind of big tent that could, include and create a space of collaboration and community for a number of different musicians and identities. Another similarity, I think, between the sort of Asian American, jazz movement and Afro Yaqui is a kind of, I hear a similar commitment or approach and to creatively, misusing instruments in new and improvisatory ways, whether that's Yang Jin's explosive, pipa playing, or Mimi Zhang's contributions on erhu. Afro Yaqui finds ways to really make unlikely combinations of instruments sound together. And that's not as, easy as it sounds, nor to do that in a way that is, truly, equal and, inviting people in, not so that they can be incorporated sort of into an existing, system, but to really, allow space, right, for individuals to work together collectively. And really, it's a kind. I think what they're doing is a real model for, for listening and collaboration. However, I think there are also some important differences, right, between Afro Yaqui and their Afro-Asian jazz forebears. To me, to my ears, Afro Yaqui puts a greater emphasis on groove, which, as someone who is a big fan of jazz and sort of the music of the 1960s and 1970s and all of the sort of the wonderful, like, experimental free jazz or avant-garde jazz of that era, but also as somebody who's raised on hip hop music, I really appreciate the way that Afro Yaqui puts a great emphasis on groove, on funk, on really what I think is the importance of Afro diasporic technologies for creating community through dance and movement. I think that's a big part of what they do. That's a priority, that they allow space for some free improvisation and for reflection and for really, for giving listeners a chance to, like, soak up the sound and listen in a more open environment. But they always come back, to the groove at some point. And so there's a real emphasis on celebrating life, which is key. It's the celebration of life in the midst of struggle, in the midst of so much unbalance in this world. Finding moments to celebrate and take pleasure in the music is key. In other words, what I'm saying is that in addition to their jazz forebearers, Maroon Futures is also very much indebted to James Brown, Parliament Funkadelic, and Sly and the Family Stone, right? This is revolution of the mind music, and free your mind and your ass will follow music, or maybe it's free your ass and your mind will follow. I don't know. But, this is just really fierce music that it really fuses the spirit and, expansive heart of free jazz with hip hop's commitment to groove and its insistence on the power of the funk. And so I really feel like this is music that takes, takes an Afro-diasporic approach to groove, blends that with jazz and hip hop, traditional Asian, indigenous, and Middle Eastern sounds, and in many ways defies existing categories. And I think that can be a challenging thing, right? When you present a sound and an image that, confuses or confounds a music industry that really relies on a narrow and strict genre-based system to market and sell its products. And I think as a musician, composer, scholar, and AACM member, George Lewis has written, in music, kinship is often represented as genre, right? So our ideas about family and belonging and community are often represented as genre, right? And the root of that word genre, genetic, is related to, the same root in the term genetic or genotype, even gender, is often found as representing not only family, but fixity. In other words, I think what George Lewis is saying is that genres can be useful designations, but also dangerous ones, in that they're often a means by which the music industry engages in gatekeeping and border policing that discourages experimentation and really maintains a kind of status quo on musical creativity. And I think that that's something that Afro Yaqui is really challenging. I think in their expansive vision and sound, they really seem intent on proving, the scholar and activist George Lipsitz's hypothesis that music is a way of rehearsing identities and relationships that aren't yet possible in society. Or as Gay Teresa Johnson has written, that music is a way of creating a home from which disposed and dispossessed populations can never be evicted. And I think this is audible in so many ways on this album, in the Aztec funk of Nonatzin, or the matriarchal poetry of Mama C, Charlotte Hill O'Neill. This is music that is creating a home, creating a new world, and creating a space for identities that don't necessarily have a place in the existing order of things, but deserve and need to be listened to, heard, and dreamed of. As the saying goes, when a language dies, a whole world dies with it. And I think, to the contrary, Giselle Zanoth Rodriguez's Nahuatl vocals suggest the rebirth of an indigenous, sound, and indigenous way of being. Mama C's powerful poetry, which lace a number of tracks, manifests the emancipatory vision and matrifocal orientation of Maroon's politics. And what's more, Nejma Nefertiti's sharp lyricism, next level flows, add the power and authority of hip hop emceeing, to this already, heady mix. One of my favorite moments on the track Insurrealista, which is the last track on the album, Nejma describes herself as, quote, a revolutionary matriarchal activista, microphone antagonista, and really in blending languages, mixing metaphors over a funky groove. It sounds like, Moni Love meets Dead Prez or something like that. It's just such great stuff. And I think the title of that track, Insurrealista, perfectly captures Afro Yaqui's blend of politics and imagination, right? They're here to disrupt business as usual. They're insurrectionists, but they're also committed to a radical imaginary that never loses sight of the need for love, compassion, creativity, celebration, and pleasure. I don't know, another way of saying this is they're just a bunch of dope ass musicians on a mission, and it's really been a pleasure to become a fan, to get to know them, and to be here to say a few words about them today. But don't take it from me, right? Acclaimed scholar, activist, Thelonious Monk biographer Robin D.G. Kelley, says Afro Yaqui creates joyful music that swings and sings and sometimes stings, but always keeps us dancing towards freedom. I can't say it any better than that. Music critic Larry Blumenfeld also described them as, quote, wondrously unruly yet gorgeously cohesive group in a proud lineage of free-thinking musicians and freedom fighters everywhere. And I think that's, those two quotes certainly sum things up. So yeah, I want to just thank you for allowing me to take up some of the time and space here today. I want to congratulate, the musicians on a remarkable achievement, an album that I know I and others will be listening to for years, and also just, wish you love, support, and solidarity for all the future work that I know is yet to come. Thank you.
So I really look forward to meeting you in person one day. Right now we have Nejma Nefertiti. She's going to perform for us a couple of pieces, and she's right now getting ready to drop those lyrics like fire.
Did Lauren, did you want to say something? I'm so sorry.
Not at all. I was just, I wasn't sure if I was being prompted. I want to hear from Nejma for sure. But no, thanks. Like I had my piece, and
you changed outfits and environments so fast. You're just amazing.
You know, gonna keep it interesting. Yeah.
You felt the improvisatory spirit.
Indeed.
No, but thank you for the amazing history of the Asian American jazz movement, and your kind honorific is, we'll try to do it justice. So yeah, Nejma, we're passing the mic to you, literally.
Peace, everyone. And wow, that was really beautiful and eloquent. And I love that. That was incredible to listen to. Wow. Yeah. Just got to say that. Shout out to everybody tuning in too. I see you on the chat on my phone. We really appreciate you coming through and sharing time, space, and energy. I'm going to do 2 tracks for y'all. This first track is called Earth Power. I thought it would fit this whole, event we were doing today. And, again, like we're doing this in honor of Maroon and all political prisoners. And I hope that like if he heard this, he would be kind of like, he would feel the fire and power that I'm putting forth. I mentioned before, the Lenape being on their land, also the Nyack and the Canarsie. And I found it interesting when I looked into it. They planted corn and tobacco and like fished the rivers. And I thought, what would be our modern day version of that? And I find it in the smallest things that we do. In the smallest things that we do in our everyday life, because everything counts, and also in the art that we create, the connections that we make, and the network that we build. Again, in a shared consciousness. So. This track is kind of like my Maroon ecology in hip hop form. I don't know if that makes sense to y'all, but yeah. And it's called Earth Power, produced by Voltage Controller off of an album that I released not too long ago called The Harvest.
Got so many stripes, I became a tiger. Rock with me out there, y'all. Come on. Got so many stripes, I became a tiger. We be earning them stripes. Yo. Earth power, I devour, never cower. Live like I might not the next hour. Been through it all, sweet and sour. I empower, behead doubters, blend resins and flowers. Turn me up louder, knock you out your trousers. Stand prouder, hustle for chowder. Touch the soil, take a bath in eucalyptus soil. Plots for this royal 100 like Celsius when water boils. From a liquid to a vapor, shift shaper, no chaser, microphone breaker, vindicator, the instigator, whack MC eliminator, rhyme breaker, ego deflator, exposing all the imitators. Read the Vedas, body of knowledge, pay homage, yo respect. Heard the voice of Malcolm X tell me it happens to the best of us. Carry the rest of us, rap venomous, keep testing us. We and brilliance, 1 in a million. Nefertiti in the building, mother of the revolution, no children. You talk a bad game and you ain't willing. I see you on sidelines grilling. Trust me, you don't wanna see me start illin'. Seen a lot of blood spilling in my lifetime and killing. Put your fist up to the ceiling like you feeling yourself. Full of wealth, wisdom, mysticism, projecting through your sound system. Don't be a victim. Got so many stripes, I became a tiger. Got so many stripes, I became a tiger. An animal. Got so many stripes, I became a tiger. Got so many stripes, I became a tiger. Can't nobody rock my rhythm, girl, you done did them. I'm for real, you plagiarism. Get your ghostwriter, flow tighter, spark the lighter. The igniter, get the fuck up out my cipher. The viper, rap sniper, hip-hop exerciser, revitalizer. Ask me if I'm right or left, neither. Survivor, deep water diver. Got the poison and the cure in my saliva. Decadent Godiva. Been doing this since I was Aisha, the tranquilizer, soul provider. Cut from unusual fiber, the maximizer. You an appetizer, and I'm hungry. Think about that before you come amongst me. Beat junkie, burn Palo Santo, mix it up with something skunky. Still don't nothing move but the money. Still motherfuckers acting funny. Still yapping like dummies. Still in your face like you chummy. Still see more than some see. Still frontin' like you hate me when you love me. Got so many stripes, I became a tiger. Got so many stripes, I became a tiger. You don't know what kind of animal is gonna manifest. Got so many stripes, I became a tiger. When there's so much resilience against oppression, let the beat ride out. Voltage controller, Nejma Nefertiti, Queen Pharaoh. This is hip hop culture. Yo, put your hands up, put your hands up, put your hands up. Got so many stripes, I became a tiger. That's the wizard of frequency. Got so many stripes, I became a tiger. Got so many stripes, I became a tiger.
Voltage control, voltage controller.
Peace, y'all. I'm feeling the energy out there digitally. I appreciate you being here again. This next track, I'm gonna just go right into it. It's this is called The Valley of the Queens. It's really dear to me because it was released on vinyl off Chop Herring Records, an independent label who's been, releasing records for over 20 years. And in that 20 years, they've had women guests, but they never had a woman MC as the main act. So that was a huge barrier to break, a huge milestone in my hip hop world. And yeah, shout out to them. This album is called The Valley of the Queens, and I'm gonna perform The Valley of the Queens, which is a single off of it. It's produced by Mohammed Malek from Egypt. We gotta connect with our international people, and my young brother Mr. Buddha, also from Egypt, mixed and mastered it. So I really want to give a shout out to them because it wouldn't be possible without them. And this song kind of speaks for itself, but this is kind of like my taking the heads off, smashing the patriarchy, I belong here in hip hop culture type, you cannot deny me type of song. And there's also some history, and yeah, it really speaks to kind of like my energy towards being Nejma Nefertiti. So this is kind of like the anthem of this project. So yeah, hold up. Get ready, y'all. Hold on. Volume. Here we go.
This is the Valley of the Queens. This is the Valley of the Queens, where you'll find the wives of ancient pharaoh kings along the father of African river dreams, the longest and the strongest. Set Neferu, stylish, lavish, rap savage, refined above average. Queen Pharaoh, no marriage, through his cabbage to the lions, no baggage, pure swaggage, glamorous, the baddest, holding the highest status. Crook flare, my apparatus, blue obsidian and gold, the greatest mystery ever told. Royalty so fresh you could never soil me. Words of magic and tradition speak power orally. My rap supreme loyalty, my Nefertiti adorning me, cobra snake protecting me from the sorcery. Rock it accordingly, the Valley of the Tombs. MC's body like Merc, the big body Benz was in the room. Meet your doom. I got witches that push brooms, I'm on fire, and you can't escape the fumes. This is the Valley of the Queens, where you'll find the wives of ancient pharaoh kings along the father of African river dreams. The Valley of the Queens, where you'll find the wives of ancient pharaoh kings along the father of African river dreams. This is the Valley of the Queens, where you'll find the wives of ancient pharaoh kings along the father of African river dreams. The Valley of the Queens, where you'll find the wives of ancient pharaoh kings along the father of African river dreams. Don't make me call my goons, better yet my gods, they exalt me. Against all odds, perfect flaws, never do anything just because. Earn every audience's applause. Be fighting to win without pause. When I kick rhymes, claws the jaws. Mummify you in linen like gauze. It's the science, annihilating anything taught, I walk pious. My right pupil see my left eyelid, so desirous. I know the real Isis and Osiris. Push back your eyelids, take you out like slow virus. See me on papyrus, destroying all you tyrants, never silent. My raw voice, passionate and violent. Respect my dynast, I learn from the wisest, smoke the finest, burn the brightest like Ra at its highest. Your raps are dry as my raps are wetter than ice. This is the valley of the queens, where you'll find the wives of ancient pharaoh kings. Along the father of African river dreams, the valley of the queens, where you'll find the wives of ancient pharaoh kings. Along the father of African river dreams. This is the valley of the queens, where you'll find the wives of ancient pharaoh kings. Along the father of African river dreams, the valley of the queens, where you'll find the wives of ancient pharaoh kings. Along the father of African river dreams. All right, y'all. So that's my time. And you know, thank you so much. Thank you for the love. And again, like, it's an honor to be here. You know, I know like that this album, Maroon Futures, is dedicated to Maroon and the vision of modern Maroonage. And that's what really spoke to me. Like, how can we be modern Maroons? And what are the solutions? Like, we mentioned Venezuela before, which gave us a lot of the solutions. And just coming together like this to give each other solutions and connect, you know, internationally with youth and elders, that intersectionality that was mentioned. I mean, yo, like, it's an honor, you know, Lauren, like, you know, you're a fellow hip hop head. Like, that's like, you know, always dope. Mama C loves hip hop. And, you know, again, we just really respect what each other does, all of us. So, this always gives me so much beauty and joy and life. And yeah, that is resistance to me. Finding that joy with each other. It's like, it makes my hair stand up. And, you know, it's just, you guys are such beautiful people and everybody tuning in. So thank you so much again for having me. And I hope you guys are really enjoying this and that it's empowering you like it does us, you know, because we like to share that energy and, you know, yeah, just give that life force to everybody out there. So thank you so much.
Oof.
Thank you so much, Neshma. You know, the harvest is a great title for a CD, and I love what you did. I admire you, and we that is like a reminder that we can harvest, you know, the efforts and the collective efforts. We there is a time that we will be able to harvest this, you know. So thank you for sharing your music and your beautiful spirit with us. um I also want to let people know that half of the proceeds that we make from this CD, we want to share this harvest with our Yaqui brothers and sisters. There is a beautiful project. You can see Mario Luna on the screen. He's one of the spokespersons for the Yaqui people, specifically of Vicam, Sonora, and we got to meet him here in Sonora, and that's me right there. He's showing us the landscape, and also he you know, he's been in this long struggle for water rights. You know, there is an independence aqueduct that should have never been built, but it's diverting the ancestral Yaqui River to feed not only Mexican corporations but also American ones. And they are really struggling. The kids, you can see that, you know, the kids, the elder people are really struggling because they have no access to water, to clean water. So they also are, the Yaqui Nation, a lot of activists are being put in danger right now. Their lives are in danger, and some of them have been kidnapped. They are resisting gasoducts as well. So it's a constant struggle, and we really feel like we want to support the school. It's an autonomous school in Vicam, Sonora. It's called Sewatomteme, and the kids get to learn in their own native language, in the Inyoeme language. They get to learn music and history, their own culture, and not it's a school for arts. They learn how to create embroidery, dance, and painting, and music overall. So that's the school. And
we have the video.
We have a little video that we want to share with you from these kids.
They wanted to thank you.
Yeah, they're actually thanking everyone that participated buying a CD, for buying a CD. So here it is.
Dos, tres.
So there they are. And also there's another amazing project. It's called Namakasia radio station, and that it's also established in Vicam, Sonora, and that it's a powerful tool that Yaqui people have now, because it's an autonomous radio station, which is super rare in Mexico. And thanks to the people who donated to a little picture of the radio station. Oh, okay. Well,
the other initiative that the album, and by the way, the Cash App link at the bottom of the screen here is going to these initiatives. So we're not, I mean, we're sort of liberated from the idea that we're going to make surplus value on the CD, right? It's like we all know Spotify and the streaming economy has destroyed the ability to make money on CDs. So instead, we're inviting you to participate in a solidarity economy by purchasing a CD or donating to the Cash App link. The North Philly Peace Park they call themselves New African Urban Maroons. They are many of them are well read on Russell Maroon Shoats. They've occupied this park that was kind of really in a derelict state by the city in North Philly, and have turned it into a sort of thriving food forest. They've also organized the entire block and community, and have been sort of fighting intracommunal violence, or trying to heal through intracommunal violence while also challenging police brutality. It builds a really impressive prefigurative, self-sufficient resistance movement in the heart of urban Philadelphia. Lots of different programs, education, health and wellness. So check out North Philly, phillypeacepark.org if you want to learn more. We're in the process of trying to organize an eco-socialist convergence there. We call ourselves eco-socialists because we believe that the problem is in many respects capitalism, but industrial solutions and top-down solutions aren't going to get us anywhere, and we need to return to the models of indigenous sovereignty and Maroon communities and sort of non-Western models of revolution. So that's what we mean when we say eco-socialism. So we're in the process of organizing an eco-socialist convergence there for some time in the summer or the fall. COVID-19 has severely complicated that. But anyway, this album is a part of those initiatives. And then the last thing I just wanted to share with you, we have one more music video we want to share. And this one is very special for Giselle and I, because it came out of our time in Mexicali, which is Giselle's hometown, and is right on the border of Calexico with Southern California. So it's an area really divided and scarred by U.S. imperialism and kind of modern conquest. In fact, it was one of the first places to receive the COVID-19 vaccine from the United States. specifically because Southern California needs the immigrant labor that is allowed to cross into the United States, but is not allowed to stay there indefinitely. So there's a whole system of people who work in the U.S. With a different exchange rate, and it's just a very colonial situation. In fact, a lot of Southern California's issues with water scarcity and electricity are being resolved by exporting or importing or taking water and electricity from this area called Baja California. But if you look at California, you know, the peninsula of California, it looks like one landmass. It doesn't look like the United States California and the Mexico California. So basically the United States side of California is addressing its ecological imbalances by it's really exporting its ecological problems onto onto Baja California, and it was and is extracting electricity and water. And actually in 2018 there was a heroic, I mean, not heroic, well, it was heroic, but I meant to use the word historic upsurge against a US brand called Constellation Brands, which was literally taking water from one of the hottest places in the world, which is Mexicali. Right now it's 130 degrees Fahrenheit. It's the historic record for the month of June. So climate change is hitting it hard. Yeah. And trying to take water for all things to create beer. And so what's amazing is that, you know, tens of thousands of people took to the streets in the largest protests ever in that city. You know, here's Constellation Brands go home, no to the cerveceria, no to the beer maker. We're all united. You know, get out of here, Constellation Brands. Water is to produce nutrition, not beer. And you can see a picture there. There's 60,000 people took to the streets, you know, actually kicked out this company that had a signed contract that was protected by the state. As you can see some posters and stuff from that movement. So what's cool is that when we were in Mexicali, we got to meet a lot of these activists and artists, and they're actually in the process of completing this incredible mural that's called 100 Years of Cachanilla Struggle, which is like a nickname for like this part of Mexico, Cachanilla Struggle. Cachanilla. And this mural is just really amazing. It just has a lot of pictures of important like activists, anarchists, socialists, communists, freedom fighters during the Mexican Revolution to today. It occupies a 2-block part of a museum. It's huge. It's really epic. As you can see, like there's one person here compared to the, and we got to participate a little bit, and we didn't really paint that much, but we brought like water and beer a couple nights to these folks, and it was cool. So the reason I'm telling you all of this is because this music video that we're about to show you was filmed in Mexicali with these activists. It was it's kind of a way of creating our, you know, trans-border diplomacy from below against imperialism and El Tigre del Norte, as our friend Lauren reminded us in the private Zoom chat here. And the other part of this song is it's in Spanish. It's Huapango. It's called La Cigarra, and it's about cicadas who sing, who are buried underground for 15 years and then burst out and sing a song before they die. And we dedicated this to political prisoners who are still, you know, practicing and rehearsing their song despite being held underground from society for decades upon decades. So this song is called La Cigarra, and it's dedicated to not only Russell Maroon Shoatz, but Mumia Abu al-Jamal, Fidencio Aldama, Abdullah Öcalan, who was a Kurdish political prisoner held in a private island by the Turkish state. Fidencio Aldama is a Yaqui activist. Mumia Abu Jamal is a famous Black Panther activist and journalist who's also being unconstitutionally held in prison. And so this song is dedicated to them, but it's also about this particular part of the world, these Cachanilla territories. Sorry. Still getting my Spanish together. So it was made by a Mexicali filmmaker named Eric Humo. And so hope you enjoy it.
Si es verdad que sabes, porque distinguir no puedo, si en el fondo de los mares hay otro color más negro que el color de mis pesares. Ay, la, la, la. Hay otro color más negro que el color de mis pesares. Un palomito al volar que lleva del pecho herido y ya casi para volar me dijo muy afligido: ya me canso de buscar un amor correspondido bajo la sombra de un árbol y el compás de mi guitarra, tanto en el que esté guapando, porque la vida se acaba y quiero morir cantando como muera cigarra. Ay, la, la, y quiero morir cantando como muere la cigarra.
So yeah, that's the song, La Cigarra, thank you so much for watching that. Just a little overview of why we made it, and some of the people that collaborated on that mural, and also on this, music video, Eric Humo, who I mentioned, also Mauricio Villa, Ivan Martinez, Natty Carrillo, Elena, Carlos, lots of just amazing activists. So thank you if you're here, thanks for watching. And we are actually at 8:02, so we are out of our allotted time here, but we see you all in the YouTube chat, and if you have any questions you want to ask anyone, or actually I'm going to give it over to Lauren, and Lauren, feel free to facilitate, and we're just going to spend another 5 minutes here if you have time.
Sure. And if anybody has questions, definitely let us know about it. Otherwise, I'll just ask a couple of big questions that maybe are open to anyone responding to here that have occurred to me as I've been just thanks again for letting me be a part of this. A couple of things that observations I have is it's been interesting to hear you mention the kind of internationalist angle, that like the way that you connected, and that a lot of your work is tied into these you mentioned Venezuela and the First International as a point of contact for you. And it's interesting because being from LA and like the kind of generation that I am, I hear a lot, some of the groups that I hear you in conversation with, or, are groups like from coming out of LA, like Quetzal or Ozomatli, like groups that were really inspired by like the Zapatista movement in Mexico, and like that. So there's like kind of an international, so I'm really curious to hear, what any of you think, or what all of you think about the importance of thinking outside of kind of U.S. borders, or U.S. political borders, as a source of artistic inspiration, as a sort of like political consciousness. Like, what is it that we're missing when we think really narrowly about music in the United States as something that really only happens within the political boundaries of the United States versus a broader international perspective? So that's kind of one thing that if folks want to speak to, I think would be really interesting. And then the other thing is, I thought about this in relationship to Ben, especially just because of the arrangements on this album are just beautiful. And so I know a lot of that is work that you've done in terms of, but it's also a collaborative effort. It's not only the arrangements that you've written, but how people have filled that space that you've created for them. And so I think, so the other kind of question that I'd be interested to hear people speak about is, I just hear the arrangements that you've made as, there'll be moments where, you're on the baritone saxophone holding down the bottom end of the groove, but then Yang Jin takes over on the pipa, and then there's like, and that sort of role is passed around, and I feel like the arrangements that you've written really allow different people to cycle through to fill different roles, and to not get like kind of boxed into doing one thing for the ensemble, but really allow space for people. And so just that sort of, how do you write music, how do you arrange music, how do you perform music that models a kind of freedom, but also collective collaboration. So either from the musical perspective or from the kind of political perspective, thinking about the international angle, I feel like these are like the big things that I'm thinking about. And so if we only have, 5 more minutes or so, I'd be really interested to hear folks' reactions to those issues.
Yeah, Mama C or Nejma, you want to take the international question? I think y'all are really well positioned to speak to that.
Well, an internationalist perspective is the only way to affect change. It just isn't. It just is. That's the only way. That was instilled in me as a member of the Black Panther Party, and me and my husband, Brother Pete, have not changed. You must embrace a global perspective. And when I look at news in the States and see the focus is just on one little city, one little town, I said, they are really shutting out internationalist thinking. We got to instill that in our children, y'all. We got to take the blinders off of them so they can understand that they're not minorities in this world. They're part of a global family. I love y'all.
Thank you, Mama C. I would just, bounce off of that and say, like, we got to have compassion for other people in other places and other cultures. That all influences what we do. And I feel like, we're not just like in this little bubble, and it's like, I think that the more that we connect internationally, the stronger we become as revolutionary minded people, as people who want to change and evolve the world, starting with ourselves and the way we treat other people. And to that, I think you have to be open to other people, in places and like explore that and have a little imagination and adventure, and share things with each other, because we have so much to give each other and learn from each other that will create so much value in the work that we put out to people to give other people knowledge, and yeah, to bring forth the practice that we speak about, because it's not just something we should be talking about, it's something we should be doing. So yeah, I second that, Mama C, with connecting with the youth, with the elders, with people anywhere that we can, that whose voices isn't heard. If we have the privilege of doing that, then we should, and we should make that available for everybody. So that's what we're always fighting for the oppressed, and for people all over the world. It's not just about us and this whole tunnel vision thing. So and working with all of you guys has definitely enhanced that, for me. So I really appreciate that, and I love y'all, and thank you.
Yes.
Free all political prisoners.
Yes.
Exactly.
All power to the people.
For real.
I'm just
and on like kind of the musical question, Ben, I mean, I'll just ask you directly, because you and Giselle have been doing a great job of like facilitating this, but I wanted to spotlight the two of you for just and thank you for the work that you've done on this album and on helping to organize this event, bringing us all together. Is it a conscious thing for you when you're in terms of letting a lot of voices speak and work together? Is that a conscious part of your kind of compositional approach?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry. I want to make I look like I have a black eye or something. Yeah, it still looks stupid. Okay, whatever. Absolutely. One thing that's really important to me is that, every individual should be able to sound like an orchestra, right? And an orchestra should be able to sound like one person, right? So, and that's a good metaphor, or think like one person too. And that's a good metaphor for a movement, because people think, oh, it's just like when you're doing the like political work, it's like, oh, it's it's this glorious speech, or that's this moment when you're being charismatic or something. But no, it's like driving around and like picking up the silverware for the for the communal meal, right? Or like figuring out childcare, and like you didn't figure it out, so you're going to be taking care of it because you screwed up, or it's like taking the sound system in your like parents' 1980 Toyota through like New York City and like breaking down the Lincoln Tunnel. You know what I mean? It's just like crazy, like stuff like that. In fact, I heard one activist refer to it disparagingly as SHIT work, and to me, that's not. It's the real work, like is the work that's in the in the wings that isn't always honored and acknowledged. It's all these like little parts that add up to like being building a new society, like, or building a community that can take care of itself. And so that's like a great metaphor for that's a great metaphor for the music too. It's that we all should be capable of taking a solo, but we should all be capable of playing the background parts, and every instrument should do things outside of their comfort zone in ways like we should break what the makers of the instrument intended. Because unless we're talking about the Afro diasporic tradition, pretty much all of these instruments were created by and for the sort of bourgeois elements of their society. I mean, of course, they evolved from, historic traditions that go back, they've evolved from, communalistic or indigenous traditions from those spaces. But I mean, the clarinet and the trumpet, I mean, these were perfected for like European marching bands and for military purposes, you know what I mean, to, colonize the Caribbean and the Americas. I mean, they come out of like a colonial history, and with China it's a little more complicated. I don't want to like generalize about that, but it is interesting. Fred Ho noted in one of his essays that the moment during the period construction of the Transcontinental Railroad, Chinese opera at that time had a very anti-feudal and revolutionary bent, and was considered a threat to the imperial system. So I'm not sure, but again, I don't know what that means about the genealogy of the Pipa. I'm just saying that we all come with our preconceived conceptions. These social and political histories are within the instruments themselves, and we need to create new physicalities to break out of that. So with baritone saxophone, that means try to play like a drum. Like I sometimes like create this like slap tongue technique. With Pipa, like, it's encouraging Yang Jin to play out of tune, to play percussive sounds, to emulate blues players, and also do what she does so amazingly. I mean, she improvises without even like a training in that tradition, and she just kind of like goes for it, let alone like playing in like 13/8 or which is what Insta is. And then in terms of like creating space for other collaborators, like the process is very alienating. Technology really can limit the human soul if you're not careful, because I mean, in theory, I could just create an algorithm for myself and, automate everything I do, right? Or anyone could do that, right? We could theoretically put Nejma's voice on something and, have a computer analyze her voice. I mean, I'm just saying we're getting to this point where, AI and quote unquote smart technology is going to challenge the human capacity to resist this technological wave. So what do? We have to continuously find ways to be human. It's hard to be human in this age. And so, creating space and not just saying, oh, Mama C, like, here's like 13 measures, can you go for it? But, communicating back and forth, developing the idea, adding new sections, changing the form of it. I mean, doing it as collaboratively as possible, because like, no matter what I do, it's not going to be as good or as smart or as grounded as what Mama C would do in dialogue with Nejma and Giselle and Yang Jin and Julian Powell, the drummer. It's that this collective consciousness is smarter than any one of us, that it's greater than any one of us, which again goes back to this metaphor of the social movement. It's just like the quote that you used from George Lipsitz, that we're rehearsing like these new social relations, which you can't realize yet. We're rehearsing the revolution. Hopefully we can harvest it, right? And it'll bear fruit in our lifetimes, because, we're not just making this music to be cool or even to create like a radical, diverse community. I mean, we really value that, but we really believe that we're going to live through, and we are living through, a revolutionary process. And whether that becomes a revolution or not, depending on how you define that, no one can determine that except ourselves. But we've never needed one more. I mean, we're really at the precipice of human extinction. And I wish it was just as simple as humans go extinct, but unfortunately it's going to have the same rhythms of apartheid and colonialism that we've had for the past 500 years, where in the first wave, countries, the darker nations are going to pay, and we've got to fight that now. We can't wait until that's happening. We need to build these alternative structures of music production, of human identification, these alternative homes now, to organize today, to organize in 5 years, to organize in 50 years. So that's where all that comes out of. And yes, I like doing crazy stuff. I like all of us like doing crazy stuff sometimes. And when we play live, it's even crazier. Like sometimes like we'll cut everything out and it's just Nejma and like the alto saxophone playing the bass line, and then the congas will come in, you know what I mean? And then when we had Mama C play with us, when we invited her to play with us in New York, actually had a reflection on the founding of the first Eco-Socialist International. We did so many crazy improvisatory moves, it was just, in terms of like featuring her, having horns accompany her. It was magical. So how do we create that magic in music, but also have it be disciplined and tight and structured? That's the challenge. And that's what I base my arrangement on. No, I don't base it on like, oh, we need to voice the horns like in an inverted triad or something. I mean, no, I don't. I mean, it's good to know those things. So I'm sorry I just spoke so long, but I have a lot to say about the subject, and I'm going to just cut myself off now.
No, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was a really rich answer. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know we're now quite past the time, and being respectful of that. I don't know. That was I don't know if there's I mean, certainly a good place where we could tie things up. But I do, yeah, if anyone else has anything that they want to add before our time here together is done, I guess speak now or we're out for today.
Oh yeah, the person who runs our label, we have this great collaboration with Noima Recordings, and they mentioned that we should share the link to actually buy the CD. So in addition to the Cash App link, if you donate the Cash App, we'll send you a CD, but also you can buy the CD at noimarecords.org. I wouldn't necessarily try to memorize this URL. I would just, Google Noima and Afro Yaqui and you'll find it. You can also download the digital booklet, which is great because it has translations of the non-English lyrics, which are fairly substantial throughout the piece, and also provides some really great liner notes by Kempis Gandhi Songster, the abolitionist activist I mentioned in Philadelphia. So yeah, please get excited, get involved. Like, this CD only has meaning if you help us give it meaning, right? And it's not about us, but it's about all the different constellation of movements that we're trying to highlight and bring together through the music and through the networks that it facilitates.
Indeed. Buy the album, make a contribution. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Thank you all so much. I hope your day goes beautiful, and I hope we can keep connected and connecting. Thank you.
And thank you, Lauren Kajikawa, for jumping in. Nejma and Mama C and I, we go way back, but you're part of our family now, and I hope.
Proud to be. Thank you so much. Yeah, honored.
Next reunion, and I hope you and Nejma, being in New York, you should, if you have any extra time, you should meet up if you can. I don't know if that's physically.
For sure, yeah. Let me get. I'll reach out. We got to get Nejma into some of my classes or some things. Yeah, we'll figure it out because she's dope.
I would love that. Thank you, everybody.
Thank y'all. Bless y'all.
Adios. Mwah.